When I started out as a software engineer, I didn't know anyone in this industry. I did not have a lot of role models who looked like me. I didn't always have someone to turn to. Of course, over time, I made closer connections with my coworkers, who eventually I could talk to about certain doubts or ask for guidance, but up until this point, it was tough. Looking back, there are a few things I wish someone had told me in the beginning that would have made my career start a little bit easier. And that's why I want to be the person for someone else now. So if you're just starting out as a software engineer and you feel a little bit lost here and there, this is the video for you. Let's talk about the fact that a lot of us feel like we don't fit in because we're not stereotypical software engineers. There are a lot of engineers who have been coding since they were 8 years old, and sometimes that made me feel like I have so much to catch up, I'm never gonna make it. But turns out, that's not who you need to be. In fact, the majority of software engineers are not. No matter if this is your first internship and it takes you 2 weeks to finish an assignment more experienced engineers would take 15 minutes for, or if you've been coding for the past 6 years, you belong here. This also ties in with the next point. No matter if you look different than all the other engineers in the room, whether you're a woman, whether you're black, whether you're queer, whether you're Muslim, you belong here the way you are. The industry still has a long way to go until we all feel represented. And that is something that puts a lot of people off. And they've got a point because it's not easy being the only one different in the room. Engineering is for everyone, not only for cis men. If on your engineering team you don't have anyone who looks like you or anyone who lives a similar lifestyle, search through YouTube or Instagram and find role models online that you can identify with, and let that be your daily reminder that there is space for all of us. Number 2, don't be afraid to ask for help. I was constantly worried people might think I'm not good enough, or that I'm supposed to already know most things. And sometimes when I got stuck, I didn't want to ask for help right away because I was scared that the senior engineers might judge me. So instead of asking for help, I spent hours and sometimes even days trying to figure out the solution to a problem myself. Now the problem was that at this point, not being able to solve something by myself was not an issue. But the fact that I waited for days until I reached out to someone for help was a little bit embarrassing. Also, the joke was on me because literally everyone on all the teams I've ever worked on were super happy to help me out when I got stuck. They loved explaining how things worked and they genuinely enjoyed sharing their knowledge. And then obviously I felt very stupid for not asking for help earlier. If this is you, just know that when you start out as a junior engineer, no one will judge you. They all know you're new to this. Also, think about how it would be if the situation was reversed. Would you be happy to give someone a hand? For me, I love helping someone. When new engineers join or when we have an intern on a project team, I love explaining how things work. Please, 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 don't be afraid to ask for help. Similar thing, don't be afraid to admit that you don't know something. I put so much pressure on myself and I didn't want to admit that sometimes I had no clue about what's going on. I would sit in the backend meetings and I would listen, but I had no idea what was discussed because I didn't know the specifics about the technology they were talking about or because I had never used a framework they discussed. And I felt bad and embarrassed for not knowing anything about these topics. And when I was asked for my opinion, I didn't want to look bad, so I just agreed to what someone else already said. But after a while, I noticed senior engineers in meetings saying, "No idea," all the time. I heard them say, "Sorry, I'm not sure, I'll have to look that up first." Or, "I don't have a lot of experience with this, so it's possible that I'm missing something." And to me, it felt like such a relief to hear that. The more knowledge I gained, the more I realized how much I don't know. In the beginning, that was something I struggled with a lot because I didn't want to accept it. But I remember around my 1-year mark, there was a certain point where I started telling myself, there are a lot of things I don't know, and that's okay. Also, it is literally impossible to know everything in this industry. It is better to know less things and do them well than to know a little bit of everything but not being able to do anything with this knowledge. Let's talk about imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is such a messed up thing. The reason for mine was that when I just started out, I managed to land a job that I never thought was possible for me. For those of you who don't know me, I work for a completely remote company which is based in San Francisco, but I can essentially work from anywhere in the world. And so for the past 2 years, I've been able to travel the world while working remotely. Now, I don't want to say it was all just luck, because I fought for this and I put myself out there and I was actively looking for opportunities like this. And when I was invited for an interview, I gave it my all. And yes, there definitely was a little bit of luck involved. Like, the company that hired me usually doesn't hire juniors, but I applied during a time where they were desperately looking for engineers. And so we started off on a let's just see how it goes basis. Circling back to imposter syndrome, because of these circumstances, a lot of times I told myself I don't deserve to be here. There are 1,000 other people who have better skills, who fit this job way better than I do. Because I didn't have a lot of experience, I was constantly worried about being a bad hire and getting fired, which was absolutely not the case, and I was never even close to that. My managers and teammates were happy with my performance, but my mind was playing tricks with me. I also struggled with imposter syndrome because, as I mentioned before, I didn't grow up being a tech nerd. I didn't learn coding in high school. And so I thought I don't fit in because I'm not like the others, and one day people are going to realize that I don't belong here. Unfortunately, imposter syndrome is something that is very, very common in the tech industry. And in the beginning, I thought it's just me, until I became close friends with some of the senior engineers. And turns out they were struggling with it too. I remember this specific chat I had with one of them, where I said, I'm constantly feeling like I'm not good enough because I'm not fast at implementing new features. And he said, this type of worry is something that we all have from time to time. Even me as a senior engineer. I sometimes worry that although I'm already building multiple features per month, maybe I should be building more. Mind you, the seniors on my team are engineers who previously worked at companies like Uber and TransferWise. So if they sometimes struggle with imposter syndrome, chances are a lot of people do. Conversations with other engineers in my team have helped me tremendously in these situations of self-doubt. Realizing that you're not alone in this is already such a relief. Also, don't be shy to reach out to your mentors for advice. Another thing I highly recommend, and this has probably helped me the most, check in with your managers or boss regularly and get feedback on your performance. Talk to them about what's going well, what you're struggling with, and ask them how you can improve. The reason this helps so much is because afterwards it's not a guessing game anymore. You won't be wondering if you're underperforming because you will know if they're happy with what you accomplish. In addition to that, if you enjoy reading, I also recommend the following 2 books which have helped me with imposter syndrome. They are called Self-Compassion and The Courage to be Disliked. I will link them in the description box. How to level up your coding game by 110%. The next tip will level up your coding skills so much that it almost feels like a cheat, but I cannot recommend this enough. Read the book Clean Code by Robert C. Martin. I do not get paid to say this. This book has been mentioned to me numerous times by experienced senior engineers, and it helped me so much in becoming a better software engineer. I waited way too long before I started reading it because I thought this book is going to be too complicated for me to understand, which I could have not been more wrong about. Yes, you need to know the basics of coding, but it was written for both beginners and experienced engineers. And I promise you, once you read this and you start putting the techniques into practice, the other engineers on your team are going to be so impressed by your pull requests and new additions. I'll put the link to where you can buy this book in the description box as well. Those are all of my recommendations / words of encouragement for junior engineers I wanted to share today. If there is something specific you are struggling with, or if you have any questions, or if there's a certain topic you would like me to film a video about, or if you just want to say hi, feel free to leave a comment below. I really hope this video helped some of you. This is a topic that's very close to my heart. If you want to hear more about my story, or see what I've been up to ever since I started working as a software engineer, go check out my other videos. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, have an amazing day and see you soon. Bye!